When they said live long and prosper, I'm not really sure if this is what they meant. What's up, guys? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And I'm here today talking about Star Trek, Section 31. It's a new Paramount Plus original Star Trek movie in every way that possibly could be true. It stars Michelle Yeoh. She's doing the same character she did on Star Trek Discovery. And that's all really you need to know. Uh, there are some other people in this, but this is basically a spinoff. Where Are We Now? Michelle Yeoh from Discovery, which I loosely watched many years ago. Didn't finish. TLD, DF, too long, didn't finish. I was interested mostly for Sonequa Martin Green at the front. She was coming fresh off of The Walking Dead, which I'm a huge fan of, and that attracted me to Discovery because I like seeing what the alumni are up to. Like, I'm really excited always for Stephen Yeun and wherever he is and all the success that he's having in his career. But I tried. Star Trek has never really been my thing, but it's never been something that I'm just like, ugh, I don't get this at all. Ugh, this is terrible. Oh my God, what is this? Like, I was able to, like, passively, occasionally tune into, like, Star Trek The Next Generation as a kid. We didn't have UPN where I lived, but Enterprise was ported to us, where it aired in what you might call syndication, like in an off time slot, like not where it aired for everybody else during its time. And I watched at least like the first season of Star Trek Enterprise with Scott Bakula. Anyway, yes, I know how to pronounce his name, but I I enjoyed it enough. I've seen most of the movies. There's somewhere in like the Star Trek 3, 4, 5 range that I haven't seen. At least two of those. Um, but I've definitely seen Undiscovered Country, and I've seen that a couple times. I actually have memories of going to the theaters to see it. It was the first Star Trek film I saw in theaters. And of course, then when they started blending the two together, the old gang with the new gang in Generations, and then moving forward with First Contact. I wasn't a huge fan of Nemesis when that happened. There was Insurrection too. Sorry, First Contact, Insurrection, and then Nemesis. I didn't really like Nemesis that much. Uh, I would have pegged that maybe as like the worst Star Trek movie that I had seen up until now. I actually like J.J. Abrams' stuff because I thought he was giving it a different vibe that it needed. And I'm sure to Trekkie fans, though, that little trilogy that he did there just didn't work for them. So there's been rumors that there's going to be a fourth. I don't know if that's ever going to be true. I'm really interested to see Quentin Tarantino direct a Star Trek film like he really wants to. I think that would be amazing. I mean, we have Star Trek all over the place, and if they're willing to make this, they should just call up Quentin and be like, dude, do you have a script? Like, does he have an idea? Or is he just like calling it out to see if it'll happen, because this is terrible. I did not like this at all. This is really bad. It feels hokey and cheap. And that's the worst thing that a Star Trek thing could feel like, because it already sort of borders on that, which is why it's so easy for people to get into. Everybody cosplays. There's actually there's a really good like YouTube like fan made stuff that was happening before they told them to stop, but it was actually pretty decent because people were able to make relatively the same amount of content. It used to just be sort of easily accessible, whether you jumped from New Generation to Voyager to Deep Space Nine. You got kind of the same vibe, just like with a new crew. I don't know what this is. This feels like it was made cheaply by like I don't know, man. The Asylum. I and I hate saying that because Michelle Yeoh's here, but I don't think she's good in this. I don't think the movie's good. They're looking for something called The Godsend, and I was like, that's a dumb name for this. That is an inherently. I remember that movie Godsend, by the way, too. God, that was an awful movie. Um, but it opens up questions in a world where spirituality hasn't necessarily been so prevalent. It's like a godsend. So, do the other alien species have gods? Because they all come from somewhere else. It's a very sort of myopic view. Like, it sounds cool, but I don't think that they actually thought godsend through when they're really thinking about the implications, because we have a lot of different alien species here and some cool ideas too. There's this thing where you can phase through walls and phase through objects, and she has to like explain it though when it's happening, and that's part of the writing that really sucks. Is Michelle Yeoh uses a gadget that causes her to phase because she wants to go in and get this case, but like she has to like explain it for 2 minutes so that the audience understands what's happening. It's She's like, aha, you see, it's a phaser. So when I'm actually not in the same reality as you, but I'm in the same reality as the case, which allows me, so you can't come into contact with me, but I can come into contact with it. I was, Jesus Christ. just fucking take the case and go. Assume it's a sci-fi film and people understand what you're doing and just run. Just grab the case and run. This film was written by people who, I don't know, hate you. I have no idea. I really dislike this movie, and I don't know why it's made. It's obviously why it's in January. Like, this is not even. They're burying this film. There's no way Paramount thinks this is good. They're dropping this film the same week they dropped Gladiator 2, hoping that people won't notice this exists. Like, I'm sure they commissioned it and they were like, it'd be really cool. Yeah, she just won that Oscar. Why don't we do like a Michelle Yeoh Star Trek movie? And people are like, oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's support her with a cast of a whole bunch of people who, I don't know, feel like they fell out of a comic book. And then we'll go from there and see what happens. We'll hire a director that nobody knows and has no style or anything or substance or direction. We'll make it vaguely like a horror movie, and then we can't go too far with it though. Uh, we'll throw in some unnecessary backstory about Yo's character, and we'll just see what happens. No, we won't. this is why people hate January. The funny thing is that like occasionally you get decent movies in January, but it's so hard to find them because everybody else is just like, well, they're watching Oscar movies. Let's dump our. So like when Wolfman drops in January, people are like, I don't know how to feel about this because it's January and it's a horror movie. So I've seen the internet really conflicted on Wolfman. But yeah, I can't say I have nothing really nice to say about this movie. I would like it to. I felt about the same way as I did about Rebel Moon, and that's not a good thing. So, I wanted to. I was here for this. I've at least tried to watch every Star Trek thing, and I've made it. I've never finished any of them. Like any of the new Star Trek shows, they keep popping up. Picard was the one. Because as I started to phase out of Picard, they started bringing more people from Next Generation, which like uh, pulled me back in. Do you know what I'm saying? Like at first, it was just Picard, and he was excellent, but he was supported with a cast of people who were like, I don't know who these people are, and I don't care. And then Data came in, and you're like, oh my god, Data. And then like more people from Next Generation showed up, and then you're like, okay, well I'll watch it now. So it was only 3 seasons, so it wasn't like a huge ask. even Lower Decks, after a while, I was just like, the gimmick was fun in the beginning. Uh, I watched like the first season of Strange New Worlds. I'm not really excited about watching any more of that. So I want them to just focus on making a great Star Trek thing. Like, make one great Star Trek thing. Find someone and make a great Star Trek thing and just stick with it. And stop trying to NCIS the franchise all over the place. This was a misguided uh, entry into the series. I really don't care if critics like it or anybody else. I don't. I do think it has a really good audio description, though. So coming in on the blind angle of it, I thought the audio description was really well done. It up to a point, I was left a little wondering. It's so weird because it feels, like I said, it feels there's so much hokiness here that I'm like, and I know that the audio description can't point out like when things look cheesy, but I feel like that this thing was like the kind of thing that if I watched it that I could see green screen. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like that. It feels like everybody's acting in front of a green screen and nobody's actually ever where they're supposed to be. So, I wanted as much depth of description as possible so that I could know or get something, but it's a solid audio description track. It's not an amazing one, if that makes any sense. It's solid, it'll get the job done. You'll get from point A to point B. There's enough description there of science fiction stuff for you to be able to understand it. Some of the stuff is really good when they point in and out. Like, there's a character that's all in black that comes in through the wall and also phases, because phasing is really cool in this thing. But yeah, it is a weird movie. There's a reason why this is in January. That would be my pull quote. There's a reason why this is in January. Yeah. And it's not because Paramount Plus has got some killer content for us in the rest of the year. They just have so much killer content that they just couldn't fit this anywhere but January. Bullshit. Anyway, I'm going to give Star Trek Section 31. I'm going to give it a D+. I did not like this movie. He said, Sam, I do not like Michelle Yeoh and Ham. So, again, fine. We got to get Yeoh back into projects that are good. Luckily, she was in Wicked, so like the last thing she did was exceptional. So, that's that. Maybe they'll make a Crazy Rich Asians sequel finally that they keep talking about. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.